Hello and welcome back. We are at the second game of the San Diego Beach Bowl 2023. And here for the second game, we have San Diego Super Bloom home opener against San Francisco Falcons. This is a rematch of last week's game. They won last week. Can they do it again? I am Jory Moore, your play-by-play commentator, here with
Deanna Abrams, and I will be adding some color commentary to the stream, trying to help you understand the game. That's right, Jory. So this is a rematch of a game that happened just last week. In that game, San Diego was able to take the win 19-15 over San Francisco. Jory, do you think we're going to see a repeat of that same game?
It is hard to beat the same team twice, especially in such a short turnaround of just 1 week. Have they had time to practice in between this? What kind of adjustments can they really implement in such a short amount of time? We are probably also seeing some roster changes. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, absolutely. So both teams are switching out some players. Really notably from San Francisco, Melina Wiebe will not be playing today. Last week she had an astonishing 10 goals.
That's amazing.
For San Francisco and caught their first 5 in a row were all Melina Wiebe. She also had 1 assist and 3 blocks and 100% catches. So that's a pretty impressive player who's not here. We're also missing Sally Mims, Mila Flowerman, and Jacqueline Wynn, as well as Shayla Harris. A lot of really impactful and athletic cutters for San Francisco. So we'll be looking at other players to fill a lot of those holes this weekend.
Yeah, I feel like some of those players last week we saw a standout game from Marlena Luer. But let's take a quick look at the season standings so far. We do see Super Bloom with a 2-1 record, and then right there we see Falcons with a 1-1 record. So Super Bloom does have one more game under their belt than Falcons. Do we think that's going to have any impact in this rematch?
That's a good question. I definitely think that as the season has gone on, Super Bloom's been playing better every game. I think that having more experience in this high-pressure situation does give the team more time to gel, but Falcons, flew in last night and actually did a practice this morning to try and make some adjustments to take on the Super Bloom. With that 1 week turnaround, it can be hard to actually make those changes, but Falcons put in the work this morning to try and have the game come out differently than last time.
Yeah, and with Super Bloom, we had mentioned that there is a slight different roster than they brought out last week. There are some changes in the cutter personnel, and we also do see the addition of Penny Wu to the handler line that Super Bloom is able to bring to this game.
That's right. Penny Wu in the first weekend for Super Bloom had a lot of really great breakthrows along with many huck attempts. Was not here last week, but will be reintegrating with the Super Bloom for both games this weekend. We see a lot of the same names of cutters: Alex Diaz, Julielle Salvation, Avery Jones on the handler side. But this weekend, as a home game, Super Bloom is trying to get every player on their roster in front of a home crowd, and so the rosters for tonight and tomorrow will look pretty different, as well as looking different from the roster that played San Francisco last week. And that's one of the features of this league, that every game teams have different rosters. They can roster 30 players but can only bring 21 to each game, and so even when teams are matching back up against each other, those changes in personnel are going to create different matchups, different opportunities, different spaces for players to shine.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a real examination of the depth of these two rosters. Which team, San Francisco Falcons or San Diego Super Bloom, has a depth that they can rely on? We of course know their star players, the main ones that they run the disc through, that we see making these huge plays, but is it these the rest of the roster that we're going to rely on in these situations to come out with something that the other team hasn't seen yet, big plays that they weren't expecting?
Yeah, and both teams do have very deep rosters. The Bay Area, of course, is a bastion of ultimate frisbee, thousands of players probably. this team, the Falcons, represents several club teams, and both teams over 2 and 3 games each. San Francisco have had 15 unique goal scorers, and San Diego has had 14 unique goal scorers. So lots of people finding the disc in the end zone, lots of people contributing on the field. And another fun stat as well, the game last week against San Diego and San Francisco, San Diego had only 15 throwing errors and San Francisco had 18 and a half. Those numbers are both the lowest for the WUL in 2023. So last weekend was a pretty clean game for the league so far. The wind has died down some from the last game, but still might be gusting. As I say this, a breeze blows into our box. So we'll see if that wind affects this game as much as it affected the game that we saw earlier today.
Yeah, and in addition to that, of course, the temperature drops a little bit. We want to make sure that these players are staying warm, able to keep warm between points. And we do know that for defensive looks from San Diego Super Bloom, given that they know the Falcons coaching staff can adapt, they want to maybe throw some different looks or stay with hard person defense and just shut down those matchups as needed.
It'll definitely be interesting to see what different kinds of zone looks San Diego throws out. Along with San Francisco, we've got San Diego starting on D right now, so we can get an early look at what they're going to do.
And we had the first pull caught by Munson, centered. Amy Broom getting the disc back, finding Schumacher. Schumacher giving back to Munson. Munson looking downfield, finding Schumacher again. And we have Hammer with a big throw. Number 11 able to reel it in.
Number
like
11 was gonna catch that disc, but dropped it, Mara Saltzman. No defensive block there, but a lot of defensive pressure.
Sam WUL to pick up to Kayla Helton. Looking for cutters downfield. Oh, and WUL able to hold on after a little bobble to Stamba. Pajunas looking downfield. Stamba, with a bid to try to save possession as the disc sailed just a little bit too far. Broom in the center of the field. Back to Hammer. Hammer looking downfield, looking for those interesting shots that we know she can take.
Yeah, Hammer, a very dynamic thrower. Will throw hammers like her name. IOs, break throws.
And a huge huck from Ellie Melick looking for Kayla Helton in the end zone. And it's caught with the defender peeling off, knowing that such an incredible world-level receiver like Kayla Helton is probably going to run down an equally huge huck from Ellie Melick.
And that's San Diego starting off with a break. We did get an interesting defense from them on point one. They came on with a bit of a sag on the handlers, so everyone's playing match defense, but the handler defenders are pushing into those lanes, trying to stop immediate throws from San Francisco, and we did see the Falcons have to swing a couple times before they got into flow. San Diego's D-line is coming back out, and we'll see if they throw the same defense or a different one.
Let's get a replay. That is Avery Jones setting up Ellie Melick, and there goes the throw, and there's Helton running it down for the score.
Yeah, that's really an incredible huck. So much distance there, but enough float for the receiver to catch up and run onto it.
Another pull from Super Bloom. Center to Munson for Falcons. We see Pugh in the back with Anderson as well. Lure with the disc back to Pugh. Back to Lure. Looking for cutters downfield, faking them off. Pugh all the way over to Anderson, but looks like a call on the field.
Marlena Lure, a really impressive player for San Francisco. Last weekend, she had the second highest number of goals. Also came down with some blocks, incredibly fast and athletic as well. Able to run really fast for those deep looks.
Disc tap back in. Clarkson looking for a dump. Munson there. Back to Clarkson, but Lure able to save that to Munson. Pugh in the center of the field with an inside look, not able to connect with Chang. And San Diego with another break opportunity early in the game. Penny Wu to pick up on the sideline. Immediately looking to break to Rebecca Ellis with Haranik coming under. Juan, another under. Looking for Ellis. Ellis playing catch with Wu. Wu seeing Haranik. Poached. Oof. And somehow Ellis, under the tight defense of Munson, still able to come down with it. Ishii with a big huck to Haranik in the end zone.
Yeah, great play from Haranik that point. That's a recent Bay Area transplant, so she knows a lot of these SF players. Very tall, very athletic, and really smart field sense as well. Able to take a lot of advantage of the break side of the field this game. A deep threat and under threat. Really someone to watch. And Penny Wu with that really great break throw to Haranik to set that up. Let's take another look.
And here we have a replay. There's Ishii with the throw right to Haranik with honestly not a defender in sight.
No, that's the power of the break side. Is once you have handlers like Wu who can break almost any mark, getting it to Ishii who continues that momentum in stride, finding, as you said, a wide open Haranik on the break side.
And we see Haranik here understandably pumped up from the amazing scores she just had.
Yeah, that's 2 breaks to start the game for Super Bloom. Falcons here looking for a hold.
Center to Ting.
Ting tries to throw to Chen, but Samantha WUL with the
block. WUL picking up after the block to Paginas. To Leslie. Oh, just off the hands of Salvason. And Ting picking up on the sideline. Centered to Wong. To Chen with a huge huck. Just a little out of reach of the receiver on that one. San Diego to pick up again.
Yeah, and it looks like there still is some wind in this stadium, making those hucks a little harder to place exactly where the throwers intend.
WUL picking up. With a poach D from number 32, Vivian Chu, but almost immediately a dish turnover. And San Diego has it back. Paginas with the disc, looking for a handler. There seems to be a call.
I think that is a timeout called by head coach Angela Wells, seeing the stall count get high, calling that, especially after a couple quick turns back and forth, both SF and SD able to get quick blocks, but then almost immediately throwing it away again. This timeout will be a good time for Super Bloom to take a deep breath and try and take advantage of the third break opportunity that they have this game.
Yeah, it would be an incredible lead, but as we saw in last game, leads like that early on don't always necessarily mean that they're kept. So will we see San Francisco Falcons tighten up and maintain hard defense against Super Bloom and get back in the running with Super Bloom?
That's right, and we have seen them get active Ds already this game. They have a lot of really athletic players, and because Frisbee is so popular in the Bay Area, players who have been playing for a very long time at a very high level. We're coming out of the timeout now with San Diego, who is currently up 2-0, back on offense for a break opportunity.
We have Ellis picking up and Meidi Chang on the mark with tight defense on the dump for Iwamoto. Vivian Chu playing tight dump D, but Iwamoto able to get it.
Yeah, the
Ellis.
Chu Iwamoto matchup is going to be a really good one to watch.
Ooh.
Oh, Chu gets a hand on that disc. Both very speedy handlers, incredibly dynamic, will bid on D to maintain to get the block, and also on O to maintain possession. Very quick change of direction from both of them.
And Kayla Helton able to snatch that disc out of the air to maintain possession, giving it back to Ellis. Ellis looking to give it right back to Helton. And a hand on the disc by Falcons, but Ellis able to make that catch. Iwamoto now in the center of the field. Really tight defense here from the Falcons in the dump set, trying to disrupt it. Getting it to Diaz on the sideline. Back to Iwamoto. And Ellie Melik now seeing Blair Messner going deep. Will it work? Not this time. Looks like there was just a little too much mustard on that throw.
And the receiver just couldn't catch up.
So now
Stephanitis got a touch on that around throw by Kayla Helton. Really great mark. That's another fun matchup. Two tall, very dynamic players. Stephanitis was a key part of Mischief's roster in 2019 when they made semis at Club Nationals. And this is...
we had a bidding Iwamoto trying to get that D on Meaty Chang, but it looks like an uncontested foul. This will stay with Meaty, but a run through D by Ishii, allowing Super Bloom another chance at that break chance. Ishii looking for Ellis up the line, finding Diaz, but it looks like a call happened before that throw, so it will go back to Ellis. What do you think of the Falcons' dump set defense right now?
They're certainly playing tight, but still letting some of those up line throws go off.
And Diaz able to make the catch for Super Bloom, and that will be their second break of the game.
Third break of the game.
Third break.
That's right.
My
San Diego
bad.
started
Yes.
on defense, and they want to play this whole game on defense. San Francisco is looking to shut down the handlers from San Diego, but as we saw in that last point, Rebecca Ellis still able to get open up line, maybe biting a bit too hard on those backfield throws, trying to take away everything, and jumping out of position to allow those upline throws off.
Yeah, as we know, the San Diego Super Bloom handlers such as Iwamoto and Ellis have been playing together all through college, through club, and know each other's movements very well, and that is what Falcons are trying to shut down. And they're honestly slowing them down in the dump set. We can see that they are working.
All right, San Diego on D looking for their fourth potential break in a row.
Looks like Munson will be the one to pick up. Centering to Pugh. Pugh finding Schumacher downfield. Back to Pugh, to Munson. Ooh, Munson able to thread it through to number 11. Now it's in the hands of Hammer. Looking again for Saltzman down the field, who's able to throw it to Schumacher, and now the Falcons are on the board.
That is a much needed hold from the Falcons. Very important score for them to stop the bleeding. Great play by Saltzman that point. Able to find the holes in the zone, get open upfield, and then put a really nice and easy throw into the end zone for her teammate, Gina Schumacher.
Let's go!
Schumacher, who we're seeing now, played with Lily Stephanitis on that 2019 Mischief roster. So those players know each other. But a lot of the players on the Falcons, this is a very different roster than last year's Falcons roster. And because there are so many teams in the Bay Area, many of them may not have played together as much as some of the San Diego players, where the community is much smaller.
That is very true. And now we will get our first look at Super Bloom's offensive line, as we have San Francisco pulling. Score is 3-1 San Diego, and we have just over 4 minutes left in this first quarter. A great pull from San Francisco. Iwamoto to pick up, centering to Ellis. Ellis looking downfield. Not able to find what she wants. Back to Iwamoto.
And we're seeing the first defensive look out of San Francisco, just a tight match defense with Pinwen Wong taking the Alex Diaz matchup, trying to shut down one of the big scorers for San Diego.
Wong being actually one of the big scorers for Falcons too. Looks like there was a drop, an immediate fast break from Falcons, and it is 29 Stepanidis in the end zone. But it looks like a travel was called before the throw, so it...
Yeah, looks like the player on San Diego is saying that number 4, Julia Ting from SF, rounded the corner before throwing and moved around the mark, which is a travel. And so that would mean that the throw goes back. Looks like the players are talking it through, though.
As we mentioned before,
saying 3.
Players have about 15 seconds before it goes to the observer to make a ruling. Saying 3 coming in, Julia Ting with the disc. Centering. A huge cross-field throw to Stepanidis. Midi Chang looking up the field, bid from Salveson, but 58 able to hold on to it. Oh, and Midi Chang able to bid for that throw. And can they score? Just off the hands
of Stepanidis, who is really hunting for that end zone.
Yeah, she is getting open in the end zone. It just needs that connection to work. We have Ellis picking up with Stepanidis on the mark. Oh, and an immediate D from number 58, Wataoka. And Midi Chang finds Stepanidis finally in the end zone for the score.
Yeah, third time's the charm for Stepanidis after a travel call, a throw just out of reach for her, and finally able to score for the Falcons. That is a break for the Falcons. The game is now tied up at 3-2, excuse me. But the Falcons are trying to close that gap.
And there we see again a replay of the huge defensive play by Wataoka. Wataoka notably played for, is it Seattle Tempest last season? And now moving over to play for San Francisco Falcons. And she's made an impact on this roster.
Definitely. And there we see Julia Ting, who put up that initial huck that was called back as a travel. Great D-line handler, played for Blackbird, now defunct club team in the Bay Area that had several nationals runs.
Pull from loop, Ishii centers to Avery Jones. Jones looking for Helton. Helton looking for an outlet. Ishii providing that with tight defense by Munson. Helton still on the sideline looking for Jones. Jones looking for a big huck to a streaking Teresa Zettner, and that is a quick score.
Yeah, and I think we saw in that point San Francisco's handler D really clamping down, taking away a lot of options, a lot of high stall bailout throws. Jones able to finally find an outlet with a really beautifully placed huck, but San Francisco is definitely starting to clamp down on those handlers, and I expect that we see that pressure will start to generate turns for San Diego. The score is now 2-4. San Diego still up after that really nicely placed huck, and coming back down on D.
We are just under 2 minutes here remaining on the first quarter. Let's see if Falcons are able to have a clean hold with their offensive look right now. Penny Wu for the pull. SF picking up. We see number 17, Pugh, looking. Looks like the cutters are a little junked up, and a run through D by Pajunas. You could see that Broom was just looking for that undercut, and Pajunas was hunting for that poachy D. Helton on the sideline. To WUL centered. WUL seeing Wu. Helton on the break side, and Patricia Anderson able to get a hand on it, but Pajunas with an incredible play, towing it in for a bid.
Great play by Pajunas. That's a really hard catch to make, to bid while keeping your toes in. Really impressive grab. That's not the first time we've seen that kind of play from her. That's bookends for Kristen Pajunas after getting that run through D. Definitely one of the block leaders, not just for the Super Bloom, but for the whole league. Let's take a look at that D and then score again.
We see Pajunas with the run through immediately taking off. And then after some handler movement, getting the throw, which Anderson had a hand on it. Great defensive poach by Anderson there.
Yeah, Anderson able to see in the lane that the disc was going to go break side and run to cast that net, as we say in frisbee, to try and prevent that continued break. Got a hand on it, forcing Pajunas to make a really difficult catch.
We've got a monster pull from Ellie Mellick. Munson centering to Pugh. Pugh finding Schumacher downfield. Back to Munson. Munson looking downfield, initiating Pugh. Munson looking, oh, but unfortunately thrown for a turnover. We have Avery Jones picking up. We have Jones looking for Ishii. Ishii able to maintain the disc within the sideline. Jones, every other now to Rutland. Back to Jones. Jones right outside the end zone. Hitting Zettner. Zettner back to Rutland.
We're seeing some impressive grabs from Super Bloom, both from Ishii and Jones, as those players are almost overthrown, but able to run down and still make the catches.
We have San Francisco Falcons pushing them back a little, and then Jones up line. Rutland also streaking up line. Ellie Miller comes out of the stack. Falcons doing a great job of shutting down those up lines, and Ishii, though, able to get that score with a break throw from Jones.
Yeah, that's a really incredible break throw from Jones for a lot of yards. That's a hard throw to make. That's a player who was top of the stats sheets last weekend. Very dynamic, able to play offense, defense. Last year for Super Bloom, she was a cutter, but she's now handling for them. Let's take a look at that break throw again. Stepping out really far, putting that throw out to space for her teammate. Very key part of San Diego's offense, keeping the disc moving, making good decisions. And that is going to be her.
You're fine. We're not. There's always someone. No, there's someone hanging out on the break side.
It looks like San Diego
Second
Super
assist of the
Bloom
game.
is able to really take the disc in motion. There's quick give and go, even with Falcons making the adjustment to cover those up lines, make sure that they're stopping that momentum. They seem pretty comfortable then turning, swinging, changing the momentum to the break side of the field.
That's right, and looks like the Falcons may have called a timeout just to take a breather as a team, talk about their strategy. We're gonna take a look at some highlights from the quarter, starting with that incredible huck from Ellie Mellick to Helton.
And again, here we see Ishii finding Haranik in the end zone. Here we have Broom But then Paginas with the run through D. And a break throw from Jones to Ishii. A lot of momentum here from Super Bloom as we're at the end of the first quarter. Super Bloom 6, Falcons 2. We will be right back after this break.
And we're back. That was the first quarter. Quick look at what happened there. So San Diego started on defense and got immediately 3 breaks in a row, putting them up 3-0. Falcons answered with a hold and then a break of their own, but Super Bloom came back and ended the quarter with another 2 breaks, putting them up 6-2 over the Falcons. San Diego looking pretty comfortable on their home field, playing a team that they've already beat. They're connecting really well together. I do think, though, that every quarter is its own quarter. We have seen San Diego dip in the middle of games before, and I expect that Falcons will come up and make a comeback, really put their heads down, start converting some of the blocks that they've been able to generate.
Yeah, as much as we've sometimes seen Bloom dip, we've also seen San Francisco tighten up throughout a game and really give other teams a run for their money. Let's see if they can manage that. We have Super Bloom starting on offense. Jones with a disc. Centering, actually going past center to Leslie, who finds Salvation on the sideline, to Ellis, to Leslie. Leslie sticking with Ellis. Definitely a poachy look from San Francisco right now, and Bloom trying to work through it. Leslie with the disc. To Ellie Melik downfield. Salvation looking downfield, looking it off. Now looking for Dump and Jones. Jones looking downfield, finding Juan. Juan to Ellie Melik. Ellie Melik looking to score, but to Salvation as a outlet. To Ellis. Ellis finding, and that is Salvation in the end zone for
yeah,
the
we
score.
saw Falcons come down there with a 3-3-2 zone, trying to switch up their defense, see if they could catch San Diego off guard, and they did force a lot of throws from San Diego. They were able to stop immediate hucks or big yardage gains, but San Diego looked really patient, able to work through that zone, and then finally convert at the end.
Let's take a look at that again. Salvation, not normally one in the backfield, but everyone on Bloom knowing how to fill during a red zone set, and then she's able to run up line and then make that cut and score.
That's right. Really nice find by Ellis. That's a hard window to hit. Salvation cutting up line and then making a quick cut back to snag the disc.
Yeah, Rebecca Ellis, one of the players to watch on Bloom, a steadfast handler for Super Bloom and able to make those good, patient decisions. And we have a pull down to San Francisco, immediately to Schumacher. Downfield, looking off downfield, dumping to Anderson, right back to Schumacher. Schumacher looking, and a great grab by Lure on an almost run through D by Paginas in response, but San Francisco able to hold on. Schumacher finding Saltzman in the end zone for a pretty quick hold from San Francisco.
Great bid by Pugh to maintain possession. San Francisco looking really patient there, working the disc, finding the open players, and Saltzman, again, making big yardage gains, trying to fill some of those holes left by a lot of the missing cutters.
My apologies, that is Pugh with that bid. Amazing job there.
Great grab as well by Marlena Luer through tight defensive pressure, and then Schumacher finding Saltzman, who really has great timing on her cuts. We've seen her open in the deep space a lot, open in the under spaces a lot, really contributing to San Francisco's offense this game.
And now we get a chance to see San Francisco Falcons run a defensive line. I know we talked to the coaches before the game, and one of their focuses was definitely breaking up the dump set that Bloom is known for, those quick give-goes, and probably, as we've seen, stopping those hucks right off the bat. Iwamoto to pick up, center to Ellis. Ellis looking downfield, finding Jones. Jones seeing a Messner streaking, huge huck. Looks like it is overthrown for Messner.
That's right. Messner, an incredibly speedy player, and that is the second time this game she's been overthrown. The throwers knowing that she can catch up to a disc and maybe putting just a little bit too much on it for that reason.
Team to pick up. Found a dump. And Wataoka. There is a call, looks like a stall called on Wataoka. And it is no contest. So San Diego will get the disc right outside the end zone. Jones to pick up. Immediately looking for Diaz, and it is a score.
Yeah, perhaps a bit of a miscommunication from the Falcons on the force there. Super Bloom able to pick it up and immediately just throw Diaz open to the open side. Unfortunate for the Falcons. On offense, we saw some flow there.
Let's take a look at it again. Like you said, it might have been a miscommunication on...
Yeah, we can see the mark forcing backhand and the downfield defense also on that backhand side trailing.
Alex Diaz, a well-known face of Super Bloom and San Diego Ultimate, one of the ones you expect to see in the end zone.
Yeah, and that is her second goal this game. Falcons had some good offensive flow until we had two receivers sort of in the same spot, slowing that thrower down, the thrower not wanting to throw to two people and have it be unclear who is going to receive, and then being stalled out by their mark.
And we have a pull from Helton. Looks like Applegate to center, to Pugh, back to Applegate. A junk look from Bloom, stopping up the downfield cuts and making a lot of sideways throws for Falcons, but a huge huck. And 19, Luer with an amazing grab, giving it to Hammer, and there is a score from Clarkson. What an incredible sequence, starting with that grab from Luer.
Yeah, very impressive play there. Great huck from Broom, incredible reception by Luer. Falcons able to make some athletic plays to have a clean hold, and a pretty quick one at that.
Yeah, and it's a, as you said, amazing huck from Broom. And then if we get this replay here, we have the huck from Broom, and then the angle of the catch on this from Luer.
Yeah, that's a really difficult catch to make. Grabbing the disc as it's trailing away from you on the bid. Incredibly athletic play from Luer. Another cutter who is stepping into the spotlight. Had a great game last weekend, and another great game this weekend so far as well.
As we are getting through this second quarter, we are seeing San Francisco Falcons kind of hitting their stride a little bit more. It is 8-4 San Diego to SF, and we have just over 8.5 minutes left. San Diego to pick up Ishii, centering to Iwamoto. SF right there. Iwamoto finding Jones down the field, faking off a streaking Diaz, back to Iwamoto. Iwamoto looking for Jones. A lot of passes in the downfield. Messner breaking free to provide an outlet. Finding Salvation over a bid. Diaz down the field, faking a cutter to give it back to Jones. Jones to Iwamoto, but there is a call on the field, most likely a pick. Seems like there was a group of players downfield kind of getting in each other's way.
Yeah, Chu and Chang playing really tight handler defense, trying to force San Diego to have other players around the disc.
Diskin, Jones to Iwamoto. Finding Salvison to Messner. Messner faking back to Iwamoto. Iwamoto looking downfield. Finding Jones in a tight space, who throws it to Stamba just outside of the end zone. Stamba looking off. Diaz. Oh, and an incredible play by number 32, Chu, on Iwamoto, stopping that Super Blue momentum and getting the disc back for Falcons. Chu now to pick up. Sees Stepanidis streaking deep, fakes her off. And a throw through traffic to number 9, Chen. And now Stepanidis streaking deep, keeping the disc within the sideline. To number 16, Chang. And Chang throwing, but it sounds like there was a timeout called. Could have been.
That would have been a score for San Francisco, but their coach called a timeout. Really incredible movement from San Francisco off of that turn, able to make several large yardage gaining throws. Great play by Chu, that tight pressure defense on Iwamoto, finally able to get a block just outside the end zone. San Diego looking, had great flow up until the end zone and then started to look a little clogged. Many players coming back towards the disc and making that reset a little harder for themselves than maybe they needed to.
Yeah, that would have been another score for Stepanidis. But of course, when a team is in motion like that, a timeout might be what it needs in order to slow down, get some O-line players on there, and play their red zone set.
Yeah, and this would be, we'll take another look at this D.
And here's Chu.
Yeah,
Also
able to
avoiding
just
contact.
sneak a hand in there. Looks like the D was made before the contact. And then great throw to Chen, who has another great huck to Stepanidis.
Yeah, that was a nice little cheeky scooper from Chu to Chen. Here we are waiting for the disc to be tapped in by number 17, Pugh, on the sideline.
And this is, I believe, a break opportunity for the San Francisco Falcons. Probably why the timeout was called. It's a really important point from them, a chance for them to make up some ground on Super Bloom.
Pugh looking for Munson. Munson trying to go up line, Messner covering. Pugh able to find number 19, Lure, coming out with a stack. Who finds Schumacher. Schumacher back to Lure. Lure looking for Clarkson. And Munson just outside of the end zone, looking for a quick dish to score. Oh, but outside of the reach of the receiver, number 17, Pugh. Jones to pick up as Super Bloom tries to get into their offensive look. Eli Melik back to the center to Jones, to Pajunas. Centered back to Jones. Jones looking, finding Rutland, cutting under. Rutland looking downfield, deciding to get it up line to Jones. Jones calling a foul with tight D from Anderson, one of the captains for Falcons.
That's right, and this is San Diego, again, fighting for a hold here.
Jones picking up to Eli Melik in the center. Eli Melik seeing Pajunas, but putting it back to Jones. Good switch by Falcons. Eli Melik putting it up, but there is a big hand block from Clarkson. Well, not hand block, but a hand up to block the connection to Helton. And we have Falcons with an opportunity again to break. Pugh picking up to Munson. Munson going across the field to Lure. Munson in the center again. Trying to find Clarkson, and then Kayla Helton able to poach, and Kayla Helton looking for Blair Messler. Can Blair Messler keep it in?
We almost had a repeat of Pajunas' play, but it's a little out of reach for Messner, and looks like she's going to call an injury and take a moment to collect her breath.
So Falcons will be able to pick up.
Yeah, unfortunate miscue by Falcons. Just not able to make that throw. Kayla Helton in the lane, able to make sure no one else can scoop it up. But Super Bloom could not convert, and Falcons will get yet another chance to break.
And it looks like the disc had to be changed out, so the observer provided a new disc. Patricia Anderson picking up on the sideline with Pugh as a dump, but Munson is there unguarded and lets off a huge huck. And Saltzman almost had it, but we have Pajunas with the D.
Yeah, Pajunas has really impressive closing speed, is really dynamic in the air. Saltzman made a great cut, and Pajunas was able to catch up from pretty far back to make a great play on that disc.
Jones picking up. Dumping to WUL. WUL looking downfield. Back at Jones. Jones in a power position. Looking for Ellie Mellick to catch. Oh! And that is going to be called out by the observer. Observers, again, can make active in-out calls. Schumacher picking up for Falcons. Giving it to Pugh. Pugh to lure. Finding Clarkson in the center. To Saltzman. Saltzman looking for a dump. Timeout called.
And that is San Francisco's second timeout at this point. This has really been a marathon point, both teams going back and forth. We've had some great active Ds along with some unforced errors that has really made this point super long, and it's a really important one for the Falcons. They're down 4 points as the game is nearing the end of the first half. And they really want this break. Another timeout called. Let's take a look at all
the turnovers that have happened so far in this point. As you said, a lot of good poachy Ds and also just turnovers from uncharacteristic drops. There's Messner trying to toe it in.
Yeah, great athletic efforts from a lot of these players. We've had a lot of throws come just out of bounds. There's a great D by Pajunas, and in points as long as these, players will start making more unforced errors as they get tired. Great catch by Ellie Mellick, but just out of bounds. I expect we'll see a couple players subbed in or out, get some fresh legs out here on this field as Falcons tries to convert this break opportunity. Yeah, it looks like for San Diego, we've got Salvation subbing in along with Zettner. Although a lot of the same players, Ellie Mellick, Helton, Pajunas, Jones, who have been doing a good job getting blocks. Gonna try again, and looks like San Diego's setting up in a bit of a poachy D off the bat.
Wataoka to pick up. Looking downfield, now looking dump to Meaty Chang. Chang looking down, just outside, unable to maintain. And Helton immediately picking up, throwing to Salvation downfield, but that was D'd by Julia Ting, and Falcons are now trying for the goal again.
Yeah, and we can see Falcons put in pretty much an entirely fresh line after that timeout, hoping that fresh legs would be able to run through the rest of this really long point.
Wataoka with the disc, looking for a dump with an inside that does not connect. We see Jones was streaking deep, but her team was not quite ready to pick up. WUL picking up to Pajunas, but off the hands.
Yeah, and that's Pajunas signaling, hey, I could have caught that.
I think folks are getting pretty excited here, you know, wanting to get this point done, wanting to score it, and it's kind of showing in these drops. Ting picking up to Chang. Chang with a big backhand hook. And Pajunas is there for the block on Wang.
Yeah, that's her
Long.
second deep block this point. Again, just a really great player in the air, able to routinely come down with those 50-50 balls and get the disc back for her team.
I'd like to see Super Bloom, you know, use some patience, get some wise throws. Oh, and Julia Ting able to get a disc that pops up to Wataoka on the sideline with another inside look that does not quite connect with Moreau.
Yeah, those inside flick looks on the end zone line are really tricky throws to hit. The window to hit your cutter is so small, and just from the nature of the mechanics of that throw, it often has to come off with a lot of spin. It's really zippy, and it's just hard to hit cutters with that inside flick.
Jones picking up on the sideline, centering to WUL. WUL finding Ellie Melik. A familiar story. Will she huck to Helton? Centering back to Jones. Jones to Pajunas. Pajunas looking for Jones. Jones for Salvation, who finds Zettner on the sideline. Zettner for Helton. Helton sees Pajunas streaking deep. And it's a backhand to Pajunas outside the end zone, looking for an outlet. And Ellie Melik, it's actually a score.
Oh, that's a great score from San Diego. You can see they're really excited by that one. The whole team storming the field, bringing in a really, really long point. That was a several minutes long point. In fact, we only have 1 minute left in this half.
Let's take another look at the end of this point. There we see Zettner finding Helton. Helton sees Pajunas, trusts her receiver, and throws it. Great read by Pajunas, who then sees Ellie Melik going for the score.
Yeah, the wind in the stadium has finally died down a fair amount, making those longer throws more viable, easier to place where you need to put them for the receiver. We're seeing definitely fewer discs pop up than we did earlier today.
Yeah, the gusty winds earlier were another factor to the game between Astra and Sidewinders.
All right, now we've got San Diego up 9-5 on defense again.
Pugh centering to Broom. And we have Saltzman downfield, back to Broom. Broom with a big fake, back to Pugh. Pugh finding Applegate. To Anderson for the dump. Anderson hits Applegate on the up line, who finds Saltzman on the sideline. Saltzman finding number 19, Lure, still on the sideline, to Schumacher, just outside the end zone, and that is a score by number 17, Eliza Pugh.
Yeah, that's a nice hold from Falcons, able to find the open player, hit the first open player that they see, being patient, putting the disc into the hands of their throwers. Saltzman again able to open up that offensive flow with that big long under. And I'm sure the Falcons feel good about that clean hold.
A great clean hold, and we could definitely see that the cuts were pressured by Super Bloom, but as you said, Falcons able to be patient and hit those unders. Let's get a look at that again. Here we have Saltzman to Lure. Lure hitting Schumacher.
Yeah, and you can see the Falcons using their fakes to communicate with each other, having their cutters change direction, being really patient and looking upfield, saying, oh, that first throw is covered, but the second one will be open, and rewarded with a score for their patience. We're seeing now San Diego's O-line. Have not seen them on the field much this game. We'll see if they can have as easy of a point as San Francisco did.
Sam Loop for the pull on Falcons. Iwamoto picking up. Looks like the pull went out of bounds, so she will be centering. And we should be pretty close to the end of this quarter, which will be the end of the half. And once we hit time, that means it is last possession. Iwamoto with the disc, looking for Ishii, telling Ishii for a blow by. Back to Iwamoto, sees Ishii upline, but hits Blair Messner in traffic. Messner back to Iwamoto. Iwamoto finding Zettner on the far side. Iwamoto looking pretty lonely in the backfield, finds Diaz though. Diaz seeing Messner, Messner able to scoot that disc up, and then Zettner in the end zone for the score to close out half for San Diego Super Bloom. And I think that brings the score up to 10-5 at the end of half.
That's right. That's a great point for Bloom. San Francisco Falcons came down with a match person defense, although sagging in the open side lane off handler. San Diego, though, pretty much just immediately broke the mark, was able to get momentum going very early, and a great throw by Messner upfield for Zettner reels it in, and at halftime, we're 5-10 San Diego. Jory, do you think that this is indicative of how the rest of the game is going to go?
Let's take a quick look back at these plays and find out. So here we have Diaz to Messner using the cutters downfield. That is a cutter to cutter to cutter throw. San Diego really this season looking to keep momentum by having cutters throw to cutters. It is hard to tell, you know, is San Francisco able to close this gap in the second half? They're still in it. They're still tight on defense. They're making plays. I think it just needs to be a little bit steadier on the offense, less throwing into poaches. But you have to hand it to Super Bloom's defense as well. Like Pajunas with those blocks there at the right time.
Absolutely. Definitely a lot of pressure for San Francisco's O-line in the second half of the game.
Let's take a look at some of these great plays. There are so many bids. There's Broom's huge huck and Lure's amazing catch for then the Falcons score. Hammer to Clarkson. So definitely great plays. There's a scoober from Chu to Chen. And then we have Munson's huck to Schumacher. So definitely a lot of big plays here, and there's the Pajunas D, or one of them. So we have a lot of huge plays from both sides. Let's see what we have in store for the next half. We'll be right back.
We believe that women and non-binary athletes deserve to be seen and our abilities showcased for the world to see.
We believe in perpetuating Ultimate by establishing professional teams and developing future generations of players.
We believe players of all identities and backgrounds deserve an equal opportunity to be recognized and lauded for our achievements in our sport.
We believe in sustainably and responsibly creating equitable and accessible avenues for women and non-binary athletes to join and participate in our sport.
We believe that being transparent,
open,
and responsive to criticism is critical,
and that there should always be space
to fix our mistakes,
grow, and be better.
We are the Western Ultimate League.
many times, but I come back around, and I don't know why. Should've let you get under my skin. I swore I'd never fall for you, not again. I can't let it go, baby. I can't let it go, baby. I tried. I can't let it go, baby. I can't let it go, baby. I tried. All on my face, they tell me I'm wrong, and I'm gonna regret this in the long run. All of this on and off and back and forth made me lose my mind. But baby, I won't know what we could be if we don't try. We only go with the flow as I forget all of your lies. What if I told you that you get just one more chance to get it right, just one more chance. So fool me twice, 'cause I can't let it go, baby. I can't let it go, baby. I tried. I don't think that I could take it, a heartbreak like that again. So baby, just please don't make it, and I'll give you one more chance. One more chance. One more chance. We only go with the flow as I forget all of your lies. What if I told you that?
Baby, it's whatever. All this ever but you long gone, it don't matter. Ride or die, that's been the deal. The light of your back, I disappear. But if you don't play that for me, I'm out of it, I'm out of it. I lick my gun and then I'm done. I'm out of it, I'm out of it. And no man to tell me you're no good. I'm brushing away to you, the weight of you, of my shoulder. So done with my cigarette.
And we are back for the second half of the second game of San Diego Beach Bowl. The score is 10-5 Bloom to SF.
Yeah, let's take a look at some stats for the first half of the game. So both teams have the same number of offensive holds, and Falcons actually, all of their holds are clean holds, which means that every time their offense turns the disc, Super Bloom is scoring. The D-line has converted every time SF has made one turn, not always on that first break opportunity, but once San Francisco turns the disc, the Super Bloom D-line has scored. Super Bloom getting 6 out of 11 break opportunities. It's a pretty impressive stat for the Super Bloom. And in the second half, we'll see if San Francisco can tighten the game up. Jory, do you think that there's a chance?
I think that, last week we saw that San Francisco was able to come back from a Super Bloom lead and really I think it came back to a tied score. So definitely San Francisco has the ability to bring it in and tie it up if they wanted to in the second half. They really had to power through. I'm wondering, are we feeling the effects of losing those 4 key players in Mims, Weeby, Shayla Harris? And we have the second half starting with Falcons on offense and Super Bloom on defense. Some back and forth with the handlers for Falcons, getting it to Hammer, finding Schumacher. Able to continue it downfield to Applegate. And Schumacher with a big huck to Hammer, who's able to nab that goal in between both Rutland and Pajunas of Super Bloom.
And that's a great first hold from Falcons out of the halftime break. Very important for them to start this half on the right foot with momentum in their favor. Their O-line definitely is looking cleaner and crisper as the game goes on. In the second quarter, they were only broken once. Let's take a quick look at that again.
Just kidding.
Yeah, they were only broken once in the second quarter, and here we see them holding very quickly, so it definitely seems like that line is starting to gel and working out their chemistry.
And there we see Hammer, who was the one to catch that in the end zone. Player who's really able to get up in the air and make those athletic plays.
Yeah, great read by Hammer. Disc was trailing away from her with 2 defenders on her back, able to box them out and make sure that she scored for her team.
Big pull from Loop on Falcons. Leslie centering to Ellis. And unfortunately not able to connect with Iwamoto. And here we have a Falcons opportunity for a break. They really need this. Getting it over to Chang. Oh, and just off the hands of number 26, Mankoff. Super Bloom with the opportunity to have this point be a hold.
That's right. We saw an uncharacteristic turnover off more or less the first throw from San Diego. Luckily, they've got a second chance.
Iwamoto picking up on the sideline. And unable to connect with Ellie Melik, who bid. And now San Francisco just outside the end zone. Midi Chang. And that is to number 36, Pinwin Wong for the score. And a much needed break for San Francisco Falcons, bringing the score 7-10.
Yeah, that's a really important break for the Falcons. I think looks like San Diego came out of the half a little bit more flat-footed than the Falcons did. A couple uncharacteristic turns off of throws that would normally be easy completions, giving San Francisco their second break of the game.
I'm sure Falcons are hoping for this momentum to continue through the third quarter and bring the score closer and take a lead over Super Bloom. Let's see how Super Bloom's offense responds. Will they be able to make this a clean hold? We have Loop again for the pool. Picked up by Ishii, centering to Ellis. Ellis looking downfield, finding Helton on the sideline. And a streaking Blair Mesner, but there are defenders. But Ellie Melik able to come down with it. Not the intended receiver, but able to maintain possession. Ishii to Jones. San Francisco defense trying to stay on their players and stop this score just outside of the end zone. Ishii to Messner.
Great play by San Diego. The San Francisco defense made some good switches off the handlers there, forcing a couple extra throws from San Diego, but San Diego very patient, able to find the open player, and Messner getting open in the end zone.
Let's take a look at that again.
Yeah, so we've got the big huck up to Messner streaking deep, but it's a little short, and Ellie Melik able to make a very impressive catch at short notice to save that possession, and Messner gets it in the end zone after putting in all that hard work to sprint downfield.
Ellie Melik with a really clutch grab there, able to maintain possession and make sure that Bloom gets that point for the hold. And now we have Bloom back on defense, and we are seeing the Falcons offense.
Ellie Melik, a really great pickup for Super Bloom this year. Last season, she was playing for the LA Astra, but this season she committed to play with Super Bloom, trying to play with a lot of her friends from San Diego, her college teammates that she has a lot of chemistry with.
We have Munson and Pugh in the backfield with Anderson to lure under. Looking to Munson. Schumacher under. You see it swinging to the sideline. Munson trying to get it back to center field, but unable to connect, and Pajuna's picking up for Super Bloom's break chance to Juan. We have WUL in the handler space, looking downfield, looking now for dump. Wu with the disc, again looking downfield.
Great
Leslie
mark
able
by
to
Lure to stop that break throw from Wu.
Haranik back to Wu with an incredible break throw to Leslie. Haranik maintaining possession, throwing it up, and it is Juan with the score.
Nice find by Haranik on that throw, able to throw a nice inside flick, which is a hard throw out to space with a lot of touch and a lot of float for Juan to run onto it. Really great play by San Francisco, although WUL had a really good mark on the trap sideline to throw that turn. Let's take another look at Haranik bidding to maintain possession and then putting that nice throw out to space in front of Juan to get the score. That is now 12-7 San Diego. With 8 minutes left in the third quarter, still early in the third quarter. And the Falcons O-line will get another chance to show us their nice, smooth offense that we've seen the last couple times they've been out there.
Yeah, again, Falcons really right there defensively, able to stop certain aspects of the Bloom momentum, but Bloom just sometimes moving so quickly and able to take shots for the score. And that pull will go out of bounds. Broom walking it up. Looks like we have somewhat poachy D. Oh, and immediately a bid to Ting, and Ting not able to connect with Clarkson. So now we have Bloom with a break chance.
Yeah, Bloom coming down in a pretty straight up person match, able to force an early miscue from San Francisco. who forces a missed throw right back.
Pugh picking up to Ting. Ting on the sideline. Schumacher open, but there is a pick call. Disc going back to Ting on the sideline. Ting again finding Schumacher. Back to Ting. Hammer with the disc, looking for a deep shot. There is Schumacher, but with tight defensive pressure, and is able to come down with it. And then with a quick dish to Clarkson for a Falcons score.
Great positioning by Schumacher, able to box out her defender, Rutland, a very strong defensive player who can jump very high. We've seen her block throws like that before, but Schumacher able to box out, take her space, and make the catch. Then just a quick little dish into the end zone for her teammate. That might not have been the clean hold that we expected to see from the Falcons, but it was a hold. Uncharacteristic turns from both teams before Falcons was able to convert. Let's take another look at that hook from Hammer up to Schumacher. Rutland catching up, putting on pressure, but Schumacher is still able to make that play and then dish it to Clarkson in the end zone.
And here we have Mankoff pulling to Bloom. Will they get a break opportunity? Iwamoto picking up on the sideline. Centering to Ellis. Helton looking downfield. Finding Messner. Dishing to Ishii. Salvachon looking for a dump. Iwamoto's in the center. Back to Ellis. Finding Salvachon on the sideline, but there is a call.
These San Francisco Marks are playing really aggressively, jumping a lot, switching sides sometimes, really just trying to shock the thrower into throwing something they don't necessarily want to throw.
Pushing Bloom back, Salvachon finding Helton. Tight defense from Falcons. They are right there. Iwamoto to Helton. Looking downfield, looking for Ellis. Messner getting away. Holstering. There is some contact, but it doesn't look like a foul will be called. Wataoka to pick up.
Yeah, tight pressure from Wataoka, making that throw, that catch hard enough that it was not completed.
Moreau back to Meaty Chang. And that is a streaking Mankoff for the score for Falcons.
And that's a break for the Falcons against a starting O-line lineup from Super Bloom. Really tight pressure defense from San Francisco. Vivian Chu putting a lot of tight pressure. Wataoka putting a lot of tight pressure on those dumps and leaving throwers with not a lot of good options. We saw, let's take a look at that again. Tight pressure from Wataoka, forcing that receiver to come really close to the thrower, making that dump throw hard, and then a beautiful hook from Meaty Chang to Julia Mankoff for the break.
You know, that's what we heard the coaches talking about before the game is breaking up the dump sets, and they're putting on incredible Falcon defenders to contain incredible handlers like Iwamoto, Ellis, Jones, and stop the give, go, and really pressure the dump resets. And now it looks like they're having a better time at converting after they get those Ds. Leslie centering to Jones. To Wu. Wu sees Pajunas going. Decides to give it back to Jones. Ellie Melick looking downfield. Pajunas holding on to the disc. Swinging all the way to the other sideline to Zettner. And yet number 19, Lure, gets a hand on the disc. And Falcons have a break opportunity. Wataoka picking up. Centering to Munson. We see Falcons moving it downfield. Chen with the disc. Pressure from Bloom, but not quite able to shut it down. And we have a big huck from Stepanidis, and it is Lure for the score, and that is another break. And that puts us in a 2-point difference between the teams.
That's right. We're seeing a similar story to last weekend. Super Bloom coming out on top, and San Francisco realizing, it's time to go, and then starting to make a comeback. That was a really incredible throw from Stepanidis to Lure. Two cutters on the Falcons that are just really athletic and talented players. That was Lure with the hand block and the score. Bookends for her. And we're going to see that huck again, just placed really beautifully out in front of the receiver for a nice catch by Lure. One-handed grab above the head.
Let's see if Bloom can stop this Falcon momentum. I don't know what Slap said during the halftime to the Falcons, but it seems to have worked, and Falcons are playing with some more fire. I mean, their defensive pressure was always there, but now they are converting on the turns they are forcing. Iwamoto with the disc. Ishii looking for Iwamoto. Junky look from Falcons, really making them make small dish moves. Ellis more in the center to Iwamoto. Looks like Falcons have Messner downfield to Iwamoto. Bloom really playing up the sideline here. Ishii. Small little throws with a ton of Falcon defenders in there, but it looks like Bloom is finally able to break free a little bit. And we're seeing a person look from Falcons now. Iwamoto in the center to Diaz, to Helton, and there is Blair Messner for the score.
Yeah, there we saw a new junk look from San Francisco, a diamond up front with a mark sort of flat up, and then two defenders in the lane and one defender behind the mark, a sort of diamond-shaped cup, two wings and a deep. Did force a lot of throws from San Diego, but like the last time San Francisco threw a zone in this game, San Diego worked it very patiently, finding holes in the zone and finally able to score, which we'll see again here. Iwamoto to Diaz to Helton to Messner, just a bunch of small throws up the break side. Great patience from the San Diego O-line, able to take a brand new zone look that we haven't seen yet this game and work through it super patiently. We're seeing some stats for Blair Messner, 2 goals, 1 assist, and only 1 turn. Very impressive game from her. We saw her have sort of a breakout weekend in Arizona, where she scored 10 goals in 2 games for Super Bloom, a full third of their goals that weekend.
And here we have Falcons offense. Broom centering. Anderson on the sideline to Clarkson, just able to keep it in. Clarkson looking for Broom. Puts a floaty look up, and Ishii able to get a hand on it and make sure Bloom can now have a break opportunity. Ishii with the disc to Helton. Finding Juan. Juan on the sideline, but able to get it to Stamba. And there is Kayla Helton to Held Stamba for the score.
Yeah, great pressure defense from San Diego, really taking away a lot of the downfield looks, forcing a high stall dump throw that had to be pretty far away. Stamba and Ishii working together really well to get that block. Stamba boxing out the offenders so that Ishii could get a hand on it and deny the reset. And then Bloom able to convert very quickly. Again, we're seeing a patient offense from them, looking off not open throws and finding open cutters where they can make 100% efforts.
Let's take another look here.
Yes, we have a high stall, a big floaty throw, Stamba boxing out the receiver, and Ishii making an athletic jump to get a hand on that disc and knock it out of the air. Stamba almost with the almost bookends, but then finds Helton for the score.
So I think San Diego was feeling the pressure with the couple of breaks that Falcons got, and they are bringing back their own pressure, making sure they are maintaining the lead. We are 14-10 San Diego in the third quarter with just under 2 minutes left. Saltzman with the disc for Falcons. In a bid from Hranek, but Lure able to hold onto that disc. Handlers playing in the backfield, Anderson and Munson. Pick called on the field, will stop.
Hranek on Schumacher is a fun matchup. Two tall and athletic players. Hranek tried to come off Schumacher to get a poach D. Schumacher took advantage and streaked deep, but no one threw it to her.
An amazing grab by Pugh there to maintain possession. Applegate down the field, seeing Schumacher, and she will throw it. And Schumacher not quite able to run out that throw.
Yeah, great put there. Schumacher very open. Throw just a tiny bit too far, but really great spacing. Good idea from the Falcons.
Now we have Bloom with a break opportunity. Jones, middle of the field. Finding Johnston. Zettner on the sideline to Hranek. Back to Jones. Jones looking downfield, not seeing what she wants, to Walter. Walter to Wu, but seems like there is a miscommunication there, and Falcons will have a chance to score. We have Anderson picking up on the sideline.
And
Hugh
this
has
would
a
be
bailout.
an offensive hold for the Falcons.
Oh, and an amazing D there by Zettner to get possession back for Super Bloom. Walter in the center of the field. Almost D by Lure, but Wu holding on to it. Johnston. Johnson bobbles the disc, and it is called down.
Anderson picking up, and again, this is the Falcons just trying to hold for their O-line. Lure to Anderson, and great bid by Rutland, but not able to get the block. Schumacher with the disc. Finds Applegate.
Applegate looking downfield. Oh, looks like a high stall, and we do have a stall call. Schumacher able to hang on to possession, but as said, there was a stall call. That was a bailout throw from Applegate. We will see if this is contested.
And this is the last possession in the third quarter, so it will either be a turn in the end of the quarter, or the Falcons will get one more chance to hold. Looks like the observers are ruling that there was no stall, which means it is a score for the Falcons to end the quarter. Great play by Schumacher. Good read, good grab to keep that throw in bounds. So that brings us up to 14-11. San Francisco able to close the gap in that quarter pretty significantly, now only trailing by 3. The Falcons did get 2 breaks in that quarter, so they just need one more quarter of momentum to make this a close game.
I love how when our route didn't quite work out.
Let's take a look at some of the plays here throughout the third quarter. Here's actually where the high stall throw was put up, and Schumacher did come down, and that score is upheld.
Yeah, good defensive pressure by Walter, but the disc just went over her head, and Schumacher able to make an athletic play to grab it before it sailed out of bounds.
One more quarter. Come on. Dig deep.
As we can hear on the field right now from head coach Angela Wells, there is just one more quarter left in this game. And we did see, as you said, 2 breaks from Falcons. It is bringing the score closer together. What do you think we'll see from them in this last quarter? Do you think they'll be able to close that gap, maybe tie it out, put it into overtime?
That's a good question. Overtime would definitely be exciting. I do think that San Francisco is going to keep up their pressure defense. My guess is they'll keep playing person defense. That's been what's working good for them, playing tight on the handlers, forcing those riskier resets, either really, really short resets that are hard to complete or really, really long ones where they can make a play on them. And I think that San Diego maybe just needs to mentally refocus, go back to the clean offense that we saw in the first half of the game, finding the open thrower and throwing 100% throws.
Yeah, and as we see here on the screen, some of the highlighted plays made by both sides, just showing you that Falcons are still very much in this game, but Super Bloom putting on the pressure to make sure they keep this lead. We will see you after this break for the 4th and final quarter of this game. And we are back. Sorry about that, folks. We are already starting the 4th quarter, and Super Bloom about to score here with a throw from Juan to Messner.
Yeah, off of a great huck from Pajunas to find Juan. Great game for Juan. That's an assist for her, and she also has a goal this game.
Yeah, a very quick score from Super Bloom right out of the 4th quarter.
And let's see if we can get another look at that. So there's the huck from Pajunas to a wide open Juan, who tries to jump it in, but her foot lands on the line, so she's not quite in the end zone. A nice put out to space for Messner, who is able to just barely beat her defender there to reel that in for a goal. That's a quick hold by Super Bloom, starting this quarter out on a better foot than they did the 3rd quarter.
As we can see here on the sideline, definitely a lot of excitement from Super Bloom, I feel, and we can see some stats here for Blair Messner this game. 4 goals and 1 assist. That is kind of back in where we're comfortable seeing her with the goals, but don't count her out for assists as well. Bloom pulling to Falcons, centered to Broom. To Hammer on the sideline. Handlers get it up the field to Clarkson. And we have Pugh looking for Broom. Anyone downfield? Faked off. Pugh puts it up. and it goes just off the hands of Saltzman.
Yeah, San Diego defense able to generate a riskier throw that was just barely not completed, but that kind of pressure is, oh, unfortunately they turn it right back.
Falcons getting the disc back. Munson to Saltzman up the sideline. Saltzman letting it rip for Gina Schumacher in the end zone, but it does look like there's no call. So that is a goal for Schumacher with a defender right there.
Yeah, good pressure D by Mika Leslie, but Schumacher, again, able to make those athletic plays. Great deep receiver. And that is a hold by the Falcons. So the score is now 11-15. Bloom is still in the lead and on offense now.
Gina Schumacher really making plays for the Falcons here, coming down with a lot of athletic routes, as you said, and helping anchor this team for this game and also last week as well.
Yeah, there we see it again. Saltzman throwing to Schumacher, who tips it, but manages to track the disc down and end up with the catch.
And now we'll get a look at the Super Bloom offense for the fourth quarter. Iwamoto in the center of the field to Jones. Jones sees Diaz, puts it up, but we do have number 36, Wong, right there, and some more traffic. Number 26, Mankoff, able to catch up and help with D on that.
Yeah, San Diego looking for a quick score there, but San Francisco able to anticipate, have two deep defenders in the space to box out Diaz and then make the block, and they will get an opportunity to break.
Falcons working their way up the field.
And you may have noticed the scoreboard changed. The goal at the end of last quarter actually was called back, and so the score is 15-11, not 15-12.
Chu with the disc, looking to center it. Another scoober, but a timeout call.
Yeah, good pressure by Super Bloom, forcing a lot of higher stall looks from San Francisco. Luckily, good call by San Francisco's coach to call that timeout, let the line gather their breath, reset, and try and score this break.
Yeah, this is an important opportunity, a break chance here for Falcons. Bring that score closer together, especially, again, given the score is 15-11, as the score at the end of last quarter was recalled, probably due to
the stall ended
time.
up being upheld, would be my guess. But yeah, with only 9 minutes left in the game, Falcons does really need this breakthrough, not only to win, but again, the point differential can matter for tiebreakers. So every point is really important, even if a game is less close. Every point can matter as it comes down to determining which of the top two teams from each conference are going to go to the playoffs. We saw earlier today, Arizona, which had a 2-0 streak, went down to LA. SF beat LA, so there's definitely a lot of shenanigans with the win-loss, and so those point differentials may end up being important.
And we do see off the timeout here, we have Munson, we have Pugh in the back field for San Francisco. We have Schumacher out there. Looks like Falcons really gearing up to score. They are just outside the end zone. Let's see what they can do. Pugh picking up. To lure off the front of the stack. Back to Pugh. The inside to Clarkson. Schumacher trying to get open. Clarkson gives it back to Pugh. He's looking for an outlet. Not able to connect. Downfield. tight defense by Bloom. Iwamoto to Elimelech. Looking downfield, not seeing anything. Trying to get back to Iwamoto, but that tight dump D by Falcons stopping. Iwamoto looking for Phil as well. Ishii. Back on the sideline, Rutland. We're seeing a lot of pressure here from Falcons, and there is a huge block, but Helton able to save it and then putting it up to Elimelech, staying ahead of the Falcons defense. Great block though by Falcons there. Just Helton able to save possession, and we see number 48, Salvation, for the score.
Yeah, that was a really great defensive effort by San Francisco. Incredible bid, got a hand on the disc. Helton, very lucky, able to still make that block or that catch, and then Super Bloom, great huck to Elimelech, who's very patient in finding someone to dish the disc to so that San Diego could hold that point and get that score.
So we are seeing that Bloom is maintaining their lead ahead of San Francisco Falcons, but the defense that Falcons are putting out here is immense. It is tight. Let's take a look again of Elimelech after the huck that she caught, looking, being patient, as you said, and then finding Salvation.
Yeah, great defense from San Francisco, able to pick up all of those players streaking down the field. Elimelech had to look off several dump looks before finally finding someone in the end zone. Defenses off of a huck like that are really difficult.
We have Falcons receiving. The disc is out of bounds. Team will walk it up. Falcons looking for a hold here. Getting it to Juan. Eliza Chang tries to get it back to Ting, but it is picked up by Super Bloom. WUL to Hranek. To Bajunas on the sideline. Looking to center it again. Ellis picks that up. Continues it to Zettner. Gives it back to Ellis, who sees WUL for a centering pass. Hranek also able to do an immense toe-in catch. Bajunas giving it to Wu in center of the field. Inside look to Ellis, who gives a nice backhand. And that is Fabi Lopez for the score.
Incredible grab from Sydney Hranek. We're seeing a lot of throws go out that sideline and get towed in. Great grab. Those are really hard to make. And then finally finding Lopez in the end zone for the score. And that will be a break for Super Bloom, putting them now 6 points ahead of the Falcons. Let's see if we can get another look at that incredible grab. It's floaty, it's coming out of bounds, and Hranek able to just barely toe that in, and then making a good decision, dumping the disc, and Ellis within a round break to Lopez for the score. Great timing by Lopez to be open for that swing.
Such a dramatic catch to toe it in like that, but a great way to maintain possession and keep the flow going.
Yeah, I mean, when the disc is going out of bounds, that's the only kind of catch you can make. It's
Exactly.
Drama or a drop.
Edge of her seats up here. Super Bloom with the pull from Jones. Falcons looking to score and have a hold here. Munson in the center. Giving it to Pugh. Back to Munson, sees a cutter going deep. Lure able to get it then to, oh, but an amazing bid by Walter. Walter in the backfield now with Jones. Finding Mesner downfield. And a timeout is called by Superbloom.
What an incredible defensive bid by Hannah Walter. Full extension layout, catching her block, able to make up a lot of ground. Let's take another look at that incredible play. So we have lure to what looked like an open Clarkson, but here we have Walter bidding to save that, keep the Falcons from scoring, and now San Diego gets a chance to break yet again. Coming out of a timeout, they can put on a fresh O-line, and just see how many points they can rack up this quarter.
Yeah, it does look like that throw just went a little bit behind Clarkson and gave Walter the opportunity to get in front of the disc, lay out, and grab it, as you said, making sure that there was no way Falcons could get possession off of that, because we have seen Falcons come down with some tip discs and maintain possession of the disc. So great read by Walter, and we will see an offensive look from Superbloom. Iwamoto on the field now, picking up. We still see Jones out there. Walter still out there as well. Let's see how the Falcons square up against this O-line. Meaty Chang on the mark. Iwamoto faking off a downfield look, finding Salvation on the sideline. He looks to get it back to the center. Walter with a quick grab, looking downfield, looking now back. Superbloom quickly moving the disc, not taking any risks. Walter back in the center, looking to dump to Iwamoto. Tight defensive pressure by Meaty Chang on Iwamoto, making Iwamoto have to really dance to get open. Jones able to maintain possession, sliding to keep that disc, and then a loopy over the head shot to Iwamoto. Looks like there is a call right before.
A stall called on that throw from Jones to Iwamoto. Looks like the observer rules that it was not a stall, and so Iwamoto will maintain possession. These 7 seconds go really fast, and especially in the heat of the moment, players can tend to count even faster than the full 7 seconds.
The excitement of getting close to a stall.
Absolutely. I'm sure every single player in the league has fast counted before.
So we have Iwamoto picking up, Chang on the mark. Wataoka switching off. Walter with a throw, Stamba able to maintain. Back to Walter. Center of the field now. Give go for Bloom. And a score for Salvation after some quick give go with the handlers.
Yeah, we're seeing this quarter San Diego get back into their groove, going back to that patient offense, swinging the disc when they need to, finding open cutters, not trying to do anything difficult, and it's really paying off for them. That is another break for San Diego. They really have gotten a lot of those this game, and it's impressive to see the D-line able to convert. Let's take another look. Hannah Walter with just really steady hands, great grabs this point, great throws, swinging the disc.
Great decisions.
Salvation.
Great decisions from Walter as well.
That's right. So definitely see San Diego's timeout call there, panning out, able to reconnect, and then convert that break. Keeping San Diego on D with only 4 minutes left in the quarter.
Not a whole lot of time, but Falcons really pressuring the Superbloom offense. to make as many plays as they can. Centering to Schumacher, it looks like in the backfield. Pugh hands it over to Anderson. The poachy in the lanes defense stopping these Falcon handlers from being able to hit downfield cutters. So we're seeing them throw back and forth with each other, trying to run up line to get the poach out of the way. Anderson getting it on the sideline, looking downfield, not seeing anything that she likes. So we're swinging it back. Schumacher getting it in the center and will let it go to Hammer with separation. Now waiting for team members to provide an outlet, and she puts it up, and Penny Wu gets there first. Hands it over to WUL, to Helton. Helton looking, seeing if there's anything downfield. Gives it back to center, to WUL. Ishii in the middle, looking for a dump. Haranek coming back. Helton now looking downfield. Nice short throw to Pajunas, back to Helton. Center of the field now far side to Haranek. Center of the field, Super Bloom just working it. Trying to find with patience the open throws. Haranek not quite able to save that disc.
Yeah, Haranek has been running really hard this point. We saw her sprint all the way deep for a deep look and then come all the way back under to receive the disc almost in the handler space. Now we have her deep again, trying to make up, a 30, 40 yard under. Definitely running hard this point.
Clarkson with the disc on the sideline, looking for her handler. Anderson as an outlet, lets it go. Saltzman and Helton right there, able to knock it out of reach for Saltzman.
San Diego with yet another chance to break. They've had several chances this point, but have not quite been able to convert. Hopefully they'll be able to be a little more patient this possession and make sure that every throw is 100%.
Helton in the center. Gives it to Wu, but there is a Falcons player on the ground. Might have been some contact. Anderson coming off for an injury.
And Munson is subbing in for Anderson. Looks like Super Bloom will not be making any substitutions. And we have about 1 minute left in the fourth quarter with San Diego looking to break.
Helton throwing to a highly contested cut by Rutland. Rutland, though, able to keep hands on it. Haranek running down, but we have Pugh right there, and Haranek comes down with the disc. Helton back with the disc. Pick called.
Great box out from Haranek. Number 17, Eliza Pugh, able to make up a lot of space, highly contesting that deep shot, but Haranek able to box her out, take the space she needed to make the reception just outside the end zone. And
what was the count at there?
Looks like the disc will go back to Haranek.
Coming in saying 4.
On stall 4.
Just outside the end zone. Does look like a violation or another pick. Okay, disc stopped in. Haranek looking for Bajunas and not quite able to make that connection, so Super Bloom is back on defense here. Clarkson tossing it to Hammer, who puts it up. We have 3 Super Bloom players in the area, and Helton making sure that it does not go to Munson. Rutland centering to Helton. Gives it back to Pajunas.
Kajuna is likely making the call that her defender is too far away to be stalling. You do have to be within 10 feet to stall.
Go.
Trying to swing to Helton. Helton coming down with it to Rutland. We are out of time here on the clock, so that is actually the last possession of the game, which means game is over with the final score of San Diego Super Bloom 18, San Francisco Falcons 11 in this rematch for the second game of the Beach Bowl here in San Diego. Deanna, what do you think happened in this game, you know, in terms of adjustments from last week? It kind of seems like almost like a similar story of last week where Super Bloom had a lead and then Falcons were able to tighten up, but in the end, Super Bloom kept that lead.
Yeah, definitely saw San Francisco make some adjustments on D, really trying to clamp down on the handlers, and they were able to generate system turns from that. However, they were just less able to convert their break opportunities this week. I think that, you know, missing a lot of their really dynamic cutters might have made their jobs a little harder. We definitely saw some great play from Saltzman, from Lure, from Schumacher trying to fill those holes, but when you're down, you know, 4 or 5 of your really impressive cutters, that can make it harder for the offense to score and for the offense to convert. I think Super Bloom, on the other hand, played a fairly similar game to last week. When they were looking good, they were very patient with the disc. They were finding open cutters. Definitely saw some athletic plays, but a lot of their throws were just playing catch, you know, finding something easy, not trying to do too much. I think especially we saw them shine when San Francisco threw a zone, being very patient, finding the holes in that.
Let's take a look at the game stats.
A look at some stats. So again, both teams with the same number of holds, Falcons with more clean holds and a lot of turnovers this game, even though the wind had died down. And San Francisco with 33 turns, which gave San Diego 21 break chances, and they scored 11 of those, almost half, whereas the Falcons were only able to convert 1/4 of their break chances. So definitely the Falcons had those break opportunities. You know, 16 is a lot of break chances, but we're just not able to convert at as high of a rate as Super Bloom was.
Yeah,
So
you can definitely see the difference it makes with Falcons not having some of those key players. I think, of course, we do have to give it to the home field advantage. So let's take a quick look at tomorrow's schedule. We do have 2 more games tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific time. You'll see the Falcons facing off against the Sidewinders tomorrow morning, and then the last game to close it out is a little SoCal rivalry between LA Astra and San Diego Super Bloom at 2 p.m. And now let's take a look at the Discraft play of the game here. And we see Hannah Walter with that amazing layout D.
yeah, just the throw to Clarkson a little bit short, and Walter making an impressive play to make sure that she got the block.
This is definitely a big win for San Diego here. It is a win for their first home game, so that must be an incredible feeling. What do you think we should expect in the... Oh, sorry, we have some highlights here. As we're looking forward to the game tomorrow between San Diego Super Bloom and Astra, what do you think Super Bloom should look out for against Astra?
You know, I think Astra proved today that they are a force to be reckoned with. They played a really great game against Arizona, who had been undefeated so far this season. We saw a lot of great blocks, a lot of really clean offense. They were able to use a large portion of their roster. So I think that San Diego and LA are going to have a tough game tomorrow, and both teams are going to have to come out firing.
And I'd say the same for the matchup between San Francisco and Arizona. That is probably going to be a tight matchup. Again, thank you for joining us for this second game between San Francisco and Super Bloom, final score 11-18 to Super Bloom. Please tune in tomorrow and join us for the last 2 games of the 2023 Beach Bowl. Thank you to our sponsors and have a good night.